All right, what I came to talk about today was a couple things. Now, the other day, Asmondgolds came out with a video talking about health problems and how he was dealing with them. He had to go to the emergency room and he was changing his diet and a lot of stuff like that. I have to give him a lot of credit. It takes a lot of courage to come out and say that to people, to a broad audience, to talk about your own personal health. Personal health is very secretive to a lot of people if you have health problems. You do not want to let that out because it shows a weakness. And when you show a weakness, you can be exploited. And that's the way a lot of people think. So a lot of people just deal with it and they go on with their life and they try and ignore it and ignore their problems. I know for a fact because I did the same thing. So when he came out with that, I watched that video and it really resonated with me because a lot of stuff happened last year with me and health. But I'm going to expand on that. So I got to give a shout out to Asmondgolds, and I'm going to give a shout out to the Copium Clinic with Dr. Burns, who did a reaction to Asmondgolds' video on his health. And Dr. Burns is a very qualified doctor from what I can tell. He knows what he's talking about. He went over there and basically is doing the same thing I'm doing, bringing this to light. Dr. Burns encourages people to work on their health, bring it out to the public. Well, maybe not to the public, but bring it out to people that might be suffering in silence, watching this, and people that have the courage to bring out their problems gives other people courage to bring out theirs. Maybe go see a doctor if they're hiding from that. Going to a doctor is very scary if you have something going on that you do not understand. You know, you think the worst all the time. Maybe you can't afford it. Maybe you don't have insurance. Maybe you think you're going to die. Maybe lose a leg. Maybe you have cancer. Everything goes through people's minds when they're thinking about going to a doctor. I hadn't been to a doctor probably in 20 years, from what I can remember. I had my own business. I did barbed wire fencing daily. I'd be out there walking fence lines, putting on clips, repairing barbed wire, installing new barbed wire fences for farmers and ranchers. I worked at a local coal mine, doing all their fencing around their perimeter areas. They would have a drag line come through, and I have to go in and remove the fence so they could walk that piece of equipment through. Then I'd have to put it back up after they'd already gone through. Lots of stuff like that. But I mean, needless to say, it was a lot of walking, a lot of physical effort. But I'm going to get into this a little bit later. I'm kind of getting off topic. So I'm going to bring up the video from Copium Clinic, and we're going to watch this, and I'm going to kind of dialogue with it. I'm just winging this, guys. I don't have anything set up, no words written down. I'm just speaking from the heart, reacting to this, and knowing what I've been through. So I'm going to just kind of interject my thoughts along the way. So here we go. If I can bring this up. And let's hit play.
So I've been having problems recently. I went to the emergency room. They did an EKG on me.
So the strongest part of your heart is called the left ventricle. When that pumps,
But I was worried that it was that it's killing me.
sugar is not your friend.
And I'm concerned that it might be.
Maybe there's some lingering health issue that they've had on the back of their mind for a while.
Because
All right, addressing that. That's what a lot of us have. We have lingering health issues that are in the back of their minds. I know I do. I'm getting older. I'm 53 years old now. Maybe 54. I don't know. I'm not going to do the math. But like I said, I haven't been to the doctor in a long time. I avoided it like the plague. I have several excuses, not reasons. I want to differentiate the term excuses and reasons. Excuses are not valid. I mean, excuses, they don't mean anything. You don't have any reason to not go to the doctor. If you have insurance, don't have insurance, you know what? Don't worry about it. Get there, get your shit taken care of, get evaluated, see what's going on, because it might be too late. You better get your butt in there. Moving on.
That's an indicator of a stroke or like a heart attack.
Unprocessed red meat is good for you.
I'm probably going to have to schedule an appointment with my doctor about this to make sure that I'm okay.
This video is going to be quite a bit different from my normal gaming content because it's something that I think is really important. I'm glad Asmongold talked about this stuff because as gamers, we often neglect our health. A lot of people saw Asmongold's video and probably have some questions about some of the things discussed in there. I'm a licensed physician and I'm happy to talk about this stuff. Just don't know how many people are really going to be interested in it. Either way, I hope it helps someone.
I think a lot of people are interested in this. As a population in the United States, I think the general population in the United States, is very out of shape. They're not healthy. We are not a healthy public. Things like this, what Dr. Burns is talking about, bringing this to light, is needed. We as a general public, we're not healthy. A lot of other countries, third world countries, are in better shape than us. We may think we're great and everything and be prideful. We're not. We're in trouble. And things like this need to be brought to the surface. We have to talk about this.
That said, let's get to it.
So I've been having problems recently. Like I remember the day that I ended my stream early. So I went to the emergency room that day, and because I felt like uncomfortable, like a discomfort in my chest.
If you feel chest pain, don't feel bad about going to the ER.
And so they did an EKG on me, and like they did all this stuff, and they said that I was okay, but my blood pressure was very high. And so it was like, because I've actually been like, I've had very bad stress problems a lot.
Bro, it's so good that he's saying this stuff because however many people watch this video are now thinking about their health. If they weren't already, I mean, maybe there's some lingering health issue that they've had on the back of their mind for a while. I know the average Asmongold viewer is aging.
Yeah, we're all aging. The MMO population in general is aging. I'm a Gen X. It goes through Gen Z, millennials, whatever. But the next generation, who knows if they're even going to play these fantasy role-playing games. They might move on to first shooters, space games, exploration games. Hell, another generation or two, we might be having gaming on Mars. Who knows? But I'd like to see Mars someday if I could go there.
MMO players and gamers generally are an aging demographic right now. And we have our own unique set of health problems. We're sitting inside all the time, staring at a screen. Often, diet, exercise, and sleep are lacking. I'll expand on those in a minute.
Sedentary lifestyle, like he just explained. You'll develop like varicose veins, blood clots, a lot of those things along those lines just from getting no leg movement, sitting for hours. And a lot of us MMO players are called sweaty. When you sit and you can play for 24 hours. Some people sat for 48 hours playing games. These are critical cases. Sure, when you're young, it doesn't get you that much, but if you get my age after doing that for many years, you're going to have problems.
Like the point, and like my policy is that, what do I do when I'm scared? What do I do when I'm anxious? What do I do when anything I'm upset, I'm sad? It's very simple. I fucking ignore it and I keep going.
Did that for 20 years, 40 years, 54 years. I am that guy.
No matter what. But I was worried that it was that it's killing me. And I'm concerned that it might be.
Good for him recognizing that the stress in his life is causing physical harm. I once treated a young mother who had so many heart-wrenching stresses in her life that it actually caused her heart some pretty serious issues.
I remember in the sixth grade, fifth, sixth grade, playing the Atari 2600 Space Invaders. I'd go over to a friend's house, and we'd play all night long while his mom brought us pizzas and pop. And we did this every weekend. I mean, we didn't sleep at all. And all we did was play Atari games, and mostly Space Invaders. Double player. Brrr, shooting them little castles and shooting them aliens coming down. It was fun back then. That's what we did. Gen X representing.
She ended up having what's called Takotsubo syndrome. I can talk about that in another video, but suffice it to say, the stress we experience in our daily lives can have a physiologic response on our bodies.
And so I've had to deal with this, and like my blood pressure was in like the 170s. It was really, really bad because of how stressed out I've been. And
we'll go in depth on blood pressure here in a few minutes.
So I just had a nosebleed.
Nosebleeds are awfully simple or simply awful.
And so I thought to myself, oh my God, because that's an indicator of a stroke or like a heart attack. And so that's why I went downstairs to take my blood pressure in to make sure that I was okay. And I checked my nose and I found I was just picking at my nose the wrong way.
Awfully simple.
And I've been exercising every day now, and I've changed what I was eating too already. And I'm probably going to have to schedule an appointment with my doctor about this to make sure that I'm okay. Because it was really weird that I had like that feeling.
It is good to do that. See, he went to the emergency room and then he came home after he got, but he's going to do a follow-up with his primary doctor, his primary physician, which is what you need to do. You just don't go to the emergency room, get your meds for that couple days, whatever the week that they're going to give you, eat them and think you're going to be better. Go and get this shit figured out. Don't sit and think about it. I mean, just do it.
That's heart attack level? Yeah, it is. But I just checked it. It's not anywhere near that. It's like 135, which is like, that's not great, but it's not also, like worrisome, right? 135 is still high.
Blood pressure in and of itself doesn't really mean a lot, especially in otherwise healthy young people. 170 is the systolic blood pressure he's talking about. So the strongest part of your heart is called the left ventricle. When that pumps, that blood goes into the aorta and then goes into the rest of the body from there. That's how we measure the pressure in our blood. So that's the blood pressure that he was talking about. The thing is, when you're stressed or when you're exercising, this fluctuates. I mean, a healthy person can have over 200 when exercising. The best way to test your blood pressure is when you're at home by yourself chilling. If it's consistently elevated, then it's worth talking to your doctor about. If I were to take a 34-year-old's blood pressure and see that it was elevated, I would start my treatment focused on lifestyle. Hey, what stressors do you have? What anxiety is going on? You always want to start with lifestyle adjustments first. I'm not a fan of prescribing medications for things that can be solved with lifestyle.
I'm the same. Medication can be good and it can be bad. Research the medications. I'm on diabetic medications and there's a lot of flaws with that too. So just make sure you read what you're taking. Trust me.
Okay, let's keep going.
Panic attack. Yeah, cardio will help for this. Yeah, and that's exactly what I've been doing. And so that's the reason actually why I've been doing shorter streams.
We'll talk about exercise in a sec.
And it's a lack of exercise. And so I'm going to exercise and stress out and try to be stressed out less. Because it was weird that stress is an insidious killer. I know. Could be hypertension. It is, yeah. And so
hypertension is just a word for high blood pressure.
I ordered protein bars and
you get that from sitting a lot, inactivity, high blood pressure. Your legs will start swelling up. Your ankles start swelling up. You'll start getting neuropathy. You'll start losing feeling in your hands and feet. Get active.
We're drinking water now in between soda.
So I and science have a hot take on this. What's worse, the steak he eats or the soda he drinks?
Open a Gatorade? I actually did get Gatorade. I got Gatorade as well. I'm going to change my diet and eat a little bit differently.
It is 100% the sodas. The American College of Cardiology came out with some new but fairly obvious guidelines, which reverses nutritional science from the past 70 years. Unprocessed red meat is good for you. Go figure, something that humans have been eating for as long as we've existed as a species won't kill you. Sugar, on the other hand, has only been in our diets as a species for maybe 150 years, and it's never been at the level that we have it now. Sugar is not your friend. But isn't it just calories in, calories out? No. Even if you don't have diabetes, sugar is harming your body.
And if you have a choice, use cane sugar instead of processed beet sugar. Just telling you.
First of all, there's a hormone called ghrelin, which controls your hunger. The more sugar you intake, the more ghrelin you have, so it's harder to control how much you eat. If you stop eating sugar, you have better control over your diet. The sugar is also linked to atherosclerosis, which is when your arteries become calcified. When you cut sugar out from your diet, it decreases all-cause mortality, and it especially decreases your cancer risk. At my med school, they would have optional lectures that we could go to during lunch, or you could just chill. I would go to the lectures, especially the ones on longevity and nutrition, because the school that I went to, it was like a world-renowned research center for that stuff. In fact, a lot of my lecturers have been on the Joe Rogan podcast and other scientific podcasts talking about their research.
At first, I thought he said he was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and I was like, son of a bitch, that'd be great. I'm going to look that up. But he's done research off of Joe Rogan's podcast. But he's given lectures, so I think he's a pretty smart dude.
Interesting now, consensus medicine has finally caught up, and this is like a decade later.
And, I went for a walk yesterday. I walked like maybe a mile or something like that. And like, I don't know, I'd say it's like 10, 15 minutes. So like a pretty fast walk. And at the end of it, I felt totally like fine and good. And so, yeah, I'll just keep doing that and just do another walk.
That's good, especially that he did it outside. As gamers, we don't get a lot of time outside. So combining exercise and being outside is a good thing. Walking is opening the door to exercise. But for someone in their 30s, 40s, it shouldn't be the peak of your exercise. You have to lift weights. Male, female, doesn't matter. You have to lift weights because when you get old, and I'm talking like 70s, 80s, 90s, it's very hard to maintain any muscle mass. What happens is when people get old like that, they get frail, they're weak, they have a fall, they break their femur, they become bedridden, they get pneumonia, and they die. The more muscle mass you have now, the better off you'll be now and in the future. It's
Correct.
like saving for retirement. It's never too late, but it's important to build muscle now. It's the same thing with bone density, and I can talk about that in another video if you want.
It also helps your mental state too. Exercise clarifies your mind. It does more than just help your muscles. It is an overall good thing to do for your whole body. If you can. If you have some problems like with your shoulder joints or stuff like that, go to your doctor, work on it. Maybe they got a simple little procedure they can do to take a little bone spur off of here or something like that. But go to your doctor. Just talk about it. Get it out there. Do not suffer in silence.
Not this muscle-laden, jacked guy myself, but I'm better than I was yesterday. And that's what's important with this stuff. Don't get down. Don't think that you're too far gone because you're not. As long as you are better than what you were last week, that's a win.
Because I don't want to have to go on medication. I think that the first thing, people that go on medication die, in my opinion. Like, I think that, like, there's all these times, like, I know people that are, like, younger than me, and they have 5 different medications. That's terrifying. Absolutely fucking terrifying. And so I want to do whatever I can to, like, be able to, like, overcome it physically myself.
So there is wisdom with this, and I'll explain how with an example. Someone who I know very closely got their labs taken, found out that they had high cholesterol, went to go see a doctor. The doctor said, hey, here's a statin, which is a medication which lowers your cholesterol. So this person started taking the statin, but a common side effect of statins are myalgia, so muscle pain. And this person would experience the muscle pain, especially when they would exercise. So they stopped exercising. Well, next time came around to take their labs, their cholesterol actually went up, despite being on the statin.
Listen to him. He's making a very good point right here. I had a doctor that tried to put me on statins too. And I did my research and I denied that. So they wanted to put me on Lipitor. Nope.
So the doctor said, okay, here's a higher dose statin. Well, now the myalgias got worse. So I talked to them about it. They called me up and were like, hey, what do you think about this? I got their past medical history. I found out that their diet and exercise prior to starting the statin hadn't been fantastic. I said, hey, you can keep taking the statin. I'm not telling you to contradict what the doctor told you. Here's what I would do though. I would stop the statin. I would exercise, pretty rigorously. And I gave them, about an hour a day, lifting weights included, and then stop eating sugar and then stop the statin. So This person did that, went back, got the labs taken, and sure enough, the cholesterol went down, and the doctor didn't even talk to him about statins anymore. If they had stayed on statins, it would have been a downward cycle of, oh no, now my cholesterol is worse. Now I need to take more statin. Now I need to do this. And it would have caused other problems from
Exactly. He is exactly right.
not exercising. Who knows, maybe eventually diabetes, issues like that. The thing is though, if you start taking medications, sometimes it is hard to get off those medications. Obviously, that's not the case for everything. What I'm saying though is if there's a problem that can be solved with lifestyle change should always be number one. The first step should never be to medicate. Always the lifestyle change. Diet, exercise, sleeping. Now, there are a lot of instances where diet, exercise, sleeping won't fix that kind of stuff, but we as a society really lean on, oh, I can just take this pill and it makes me better. Really, the best medicine is prevention.
But I also have an issue with like my chest, where like my chest is like massively caved in.
So he's got what's called pectus excavatum. It's where the connection between your ribs and your sternum is kind of pushed in more than normal.
And because it's like massively caved in, there's an issue where it can affect your heart wall. And so I might have to have surgery for that. I don't know if that's something that I'm going to have to do like now. But, you know, at a certain point probably in my life, I will have to do that. Holy shit. Yeah, no, they literally like fucking move your arm. Yeah, pectus excavatum or excavatum or something like that. Yeah, that's it.
Depending on how intense it is, you may or may not need surgery. I had to look up if there were any specific directions on if you need to have like limited activity, limited exercise, and I couldn't find anything about that. Obviously, if your doctor or physical therapist tells you and you have pectus excavatum that, hey, you need to limit your exercise, then do it. But otherwise, I couldn't find anything, so go for it. I mean, I need to stress again how important it is to lift weights. If you have to choose between doing cardio and lifting weights, lift weights. I do both. I do 30 minutes of cardio and then I do 30 minutes of lifting weights 5-6 days a week. But I mean, start small and you can build up from there, but you gotta lift weights. Muscle mass is directly tied to longevity. I wanna be gaming when I'm 80, not bedridden.
Obviously, chatters can be annoying. Of course. But that's not the real reason, okay, guys? It's really not. I wish it was the reason because it would make it so fucking easy to solve. I would just stream less. So yeah. That's so good to hear that. Yeah, no, I'm okay. Yeah. I think it's sugar in the soda. Yeah, I really don't want to have to stop drinking soda. I really love soda. You can't get
That's an addiction. Maybe he will stop drinking soda after he realizes it's killing him. That is the main thing.
get type 2 and be skinny. Oh, diabetes? No, that's not really the issue at all. What was that? Lindsay can't breathe? No, I can breathe fine. It's not an issue.
You can see his chat is really well intentioned. I mean, it's kind of endearing, right? I know some physicians freak out when family or friends are telling their patients to do certain things. Whatever. I think people are smart enough to realize, hey, if I have a serious problem and I talk to my doctor about it, I'm going to follow what my doctor says. But
hey, how's it going?
It's like family and friends.
Douglas Gunny or Gaunt?
Hey,
Douglas
I'm not
Gaunt?
encouraging, these deep parasocial relationships.
Just having a conversation here about
we have parasocial relationships.
How are you doing today?
Entertainers. I would be sad if I found out Tom Cruise was dead. So I think it's okay.
Good.
To be a little bit concerned for an entertainer who you enjoy watching.
If I'm not feeling good, it makes me very.
Hey, the game's going along pretty good.
It makes me extremely.
We will be going into the first phase of alpha on
it's like
August 25th. If you were a backer previously, and if you buy the new alpha passes, I think it's either the 5th or the 8th next month. I can't. Don't quote me on that. But it's coming up soon. I know that Margaret just dropped some new notes. So there's a new statement out today on upgrades on the
I really feel
the packages
health issues
for the
can
Alpha
be
2
really
packages.
Scary. I hope this helps someone in a similar
And I think they added more incentives
I talked
into
about
those.
things pretty generally
So
in this video. If you liked it or found it helpful, like
I have.
subscribe,
Well,
in the future I can go.
I
more
haven't
in
played
depth
as
on
many as a
stuff
lot
like
of
how to get
people.
better sleep, more
The games I
specifics on
played, I started
diet
with
and exercise,
like in the 80s and 90s, just single player games. But UO was my first MMORPG. Then I went to WoW after that. And I played randomly here and there, but I mostly worked all my life. I really didn't have. I didn't have a lot of gaming time. I didn't. I had my own business, but now I find myself in a position to work. So I mean, a position to game more. This video that I'm talking about directly affects my life because the next segment that I was going to go into was my health. But I don't have a set schedule yet. I planned on just streaming mostly when Alpha 2 comes out. I'll be streaming all the time then. I will set a schedule up, I promise you. I dabbled in content creation and I'm not sure how good I am. I just started doing this. I haven't really done it more than a couple videos. I'm just learning how to edit and all that other kind of stuff. So I apologize. Hey, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. But I will work on content creation behind the scenes. Maybe I'll put a video up more, but mainly I'll be streaming Alpha 2 and then on from that. Awesome. Awesome. So what games have you played then? Got a long career of them? Sure, you can suggest, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this screen. You're doing pretty good, but I suggest you should go for a little customization. It will give your channel a professional touch and helps you gain followers as well. Yeah, like I said, yes, I need a lot of help. I'm doing this, I'm just winging it. I don't have anything written down right now. This topic to me, I was going to write stuff down, get names and all kinds of stuff, but it was important to me, and I'm doing this just off my heart here. I'm just not right now. I don't have a Discord set up yet. I'm just starting out. But I will be setting one up. So I'm going to go into my second segment here. And I'm going to talk about a little bit about my health problems and what sugar and sedative lifestyle has done to me, and what happens when you put off your health. When you don't see a doctor for 20 years like I did, and you just keep pushing on day to day, grinding, being stubborn, being stupid, bullheaded, and using excuses like I don't have insurance, I don't have the money to go, I don't have the time to go, I have to do this, I have to stick to a schedule, I just do it, because you know what, if you don't go and check on your health, God's going to do it for you. And all that stuff you're trying to avoid is going to happen, and your business is going to fall. It's going to fail because you'll be in the hospital. I was in the hospital for 3 months last year. And I'm going to bring up here. Let's see. I'm going to find this window here. See, I have diabetic neuropathy, which means I don't have any feeling in my hands and my feet. My nerves are kind of shot. Now, diabetic neuropathy, if I could say it right, is a type of nerve damage that can occur if you have diabetes. High blood sugar can injure nerves throughout the body. Diabetic neuropathy most often damages nerves in the legs and feet. Depending on the affected nerves, diabetic neuropathy symptoms include pain and numbness in the feet, or in the legs, feet, and hands. It can also be a problem with the digestive system, urinary tract, blood vessels, and the heart. Some people have mild symptoms, but for others, diabetic neuropathy can be quite painful and disabling. Diabetic neuropathy is a serious diabetes complication that affects as many as 50% of the people with diabetes. And you do not want to get diabetes, guys. But you can often prevent diabetic neuropathy or slow its progression with consistent blood sugar management and a healthy lifestyle. So watch your sugar intake. I don't take hardly any sugar anymore. And I'll open a Discord sometime soon. But yeah, so I have that condition, and that's one condition that led me to my second condition. See, I ignored it. I ignored what was going on with my body. I would work all day. I would go out building fences, walk all day. I'd probably walk 10, 12 miles a day while putting on clips, stretching wire. I was in shape. I was 230 pounds, 5'9", bulky guy. Thought I was healthy as an ox. Besides, not feeling. I just kept pushing on. Now, it led to this. Charcot foot. See, my neuropathy covered up anything that was damaging my body. The symptoms were not there. I could not feel anything in my feet. So when I was walking, I didn't realize what was happening. Here, I'll just read it to you. Charcot foot is a rare complication of diabetic neuropathy. It can take injuries or infections. It can make injuries or infections much more serious, and it does. Diabetes-related neuropathy is nerve damage that can make you lose feeling in your lower legs and feet. I almost had to have my legs amputated, guys. That's how bad it was. I barely did not have that happen. So this makes it hard or impossible to feel pain or notice other signs that something is hurting your foot. Charcot foot happens when the small injury or an infection causes severe complications because you cannot feel or notice the symptoms. I'll add you up, bud, when I make one. Give me just link it or do what you got to do. If it's not treated soon enough, which it wasn't for me because I was a stubborn asshole, Charcot's foot can make the joints in your foot collapse and permanently affect your ability to use your foot. That is a fact. My arches collapsed. I have one that's not collapsed so much, but is in the beginning stages of Charcot foot. My left foot is shot. It can also make it more likely that an infection in your foot gets much worse or spreads to the rest of your body. In several cases, this can lead to needing your foot amputated or cause life-threatening complications. Guys, I didn't go to the emergency room until it was almost too late. I was almost dead. I had sepsis. I had shivering from like fever shivers and I didn't really know what was going on. When this was developing, I noticed something on the bottom of my foot. I thought it was a blister. What had happened? And I kept treating it as a blister. Okay, yeah, well, I'll clean it up, keep it clean, put a bandage on it, keep going, because I walked a lot of miles. I thought, okay, well, maybe I was on a rock or something in my shoe. I don't know what caused that little wound to start. That wound got bigger. I have pictures of it, but I'm not going to show you guys that. That wound went from like this size to this size. And I just kept treating it, cleaning it, and it got infected. That went through my whole body with sepsis. And sepsis. I'm not quite sure how to say that word. I went to the emergency room in a small town where I live. It's only 15 miles away from here. It's a little community hospital. They looked at my foot. They took some blood. They took me down to Bismarck. It's one of a lot of the better hospitals are in North Dakota. They admitted me for 2 weeks into intensive, for the fourth floor surgery floor. I had 2 surgeries while I was in there. I had a PEC line, IVs going in both arms constantly to fight this infection. I was getting so full of IVs, I wasn't eating anything hardly too, because they wanted to get my blood sugar down, which was, I think, super high. I want to say 5 or 600. It was my A1C was like 11 or some damn thing. I mean, it was crazy. Which now I have a 5 point, I think it's 5.6 A1C, and I'm almost just borderline pre-diabetic condition now, but the damage is already done in my body. So, anyways, I like to ramble. I'm sorry if I'm going off on tangents. And so it's so very important. And with not feeling down there, I didn't know how bad it was. They put me in the hospital for them 2 weeks in the surgery floor. Then I had to go to outpatient because I had to go to a swing bed facility for 2.5 months because I had to be on constant IVs to make sure that I did not get infection because that was a big open wound. And to keep my leg getting amputated, they wanted to make sure. And if that infection got into the bone, then for sure they would have had to amputate. If that infection would have went inside my bone, they would have cut my leg off right below my knee. So I'm telling you guys this because it's very, very important. I know there's a lot of gamers out there that don't have feeling in their hands and feet and they ignore it like I did. Dude, do not ignore it. Check your feet. If you don't have feeling in your feet every day, if you have a wife or your kids or somebody, have them look at the bottom of your feet. If you got a blister or something, don't let that get infected. If you have to do it yourself, you can get one of them extendable mirrors, and put down there. Just look at the bottom of your feet if you have to. I have to do that every day now. In fact, that was last year, and I still have a little bit of a wound that hasn't closed yet. Even though my diabetes and everything is under control, I had to have a third surgery not too long ago because they had to go in and remove part of the bone because the bone was tipping down. It collapsed and was tipping down, and this is what caused the ulcer. It was pushing against the skin, the bottom of my foot. So my arch, instead of going like this, it was pointed down, and this bone was pushing on the skin and would not let that area heal. So the third surgery had to go in there, open up the bottom of my foot, peel back the skin, grind that bone down, or saw that bone off so it was not pushing on that wound anymore, that ulcer. So it's not a fun deal, and I recommend nobody go through this. It's not fun. Hospital nurses are great. Props to every one of them. They did great. And every doctor I have phenomenal doctors. They all cared for me. It made me feel like home in the hospital. And I'm going to tell you that good doctors in a good environment made my recovery super bearable. It was miserable, I'm not going to lie. It was miserable, but they made it bearable. And I feel like I got somewhat of a little degree out of it because I questioned every one of them on what's going on, and I was learning the process and asking questions, and I knew how to probably change my IVs and everything after a while, but that's going into a tangent again. You find out how many friends you have and how many relatives you have because you're broke. Well, I was broke. I wasn't working. I haven't worked in a year and a half. It took over a year to get on disability just to get my bills covered. It's very sad. Don't let it happen to you guys. I cannot express this enough. When I'm typing, I don't have feeling in my fingers, so a lot of times when I'm hitting enter, I'll hit that stupid / before enter. So when I'm typing, you'll always see that. I don't care. I'm not worried about messing up my typing so much anymore. If I'm trying to be careful, I can do it, but I'm not a speed typer by any means. Another thing with the health part, that after I got out of there, I had to go to the eye doctor because I started having vision problems. And what had happened is I was diagnosed with this retinopathy, diabetic retinopathy. And it had obscured my vision a little bit. Like, imagine looking at straight line like a horizon, and there would be like a bump in there. it would be like distorted your vision just in that one spot. Well, that got worse in my left eye, and it created like a black spot right in the middle of my eye. Not, you couldn't see a black spot in my eye, but looking outward, there was a black spot in whatever I was looking at. I could see everything around that spot, but when I tried to look directly at something, I couldn't see it. My right eye wasn't that bad. My left eye was worse. And so I even had my CDL license that I couldn't renew. I had to just go down to a regular license after my visits had gotten my vision back into control. They had to give me shots in the eyes. I had been going every 3 weeks to a month, every 3 weeks for the last year, getting shots in my eyes. And now I have 20/15 vision in my right eye and 20/30 in my left eye. I still have a little tiny bit of a distortion, and my eyes are still burning today. I just went yesterday, in fact, and had shots in my eyes. So my vision sometimes is a little blurry. My eyes get tired. And sometimes when you guys are like typing on the side over here, it's hard for me to react because, you know, it's not that fast anymore as what I used to be able to do. So I apologize for that. I would much rather talk on Discord over voice communications than type any day of the week. But I can try. So in conclusion on this, I let's see here. Let me just bring up my fun little page again. And I'm just gonna end it here. I think I've talked a lot. I don't want to start repeating myself. I don't have anything scripted or written down. So, but again, I want to stress how important it is. If you have symptoms, if you are putting something off, go to your doctor. At least talk to a friend. Talk to your family so they're aware of what's going on. Maybe they can help you make that choice to go to a doctor. Confide in somebody. They'll save your life. I almost died. I'm emotional now talking about it. So that's that. Shout out to Copium Clinic, Doc Burns. Shout out to Asmongold. If you watch this, I don't know, but I want you to know that Asmongold, that you're a brave man. It's not easy to do. Talk about personal health, showing weaknesses. I've been a private man all my life. I hid everything from everybody, doing my own thing because pride. Thanks everybody for listening and watching, and we will talk to you later.